Get your weights, get your chair, line up if you're walking wall to wall. Open your window, get your morning breeze if you didn't do that. Oh, I'm talking about me. I sure didn't. Yesterday was cold. Oh. Sorry to YouTubes. Oh, man. Here we go. Get ready, y'all. I'm moving, y'all. That's why the studio is set up like that. So I can get me some fresh morning air in. Albeit a little dusty. Okay, let me tighten stuff up, y'all. Okay, this is my check. All right, we good. Y'all, thanks for coming on a walk. I seem discombobulated, and seemingly so. Oh, this one got to me. Whew. The ancestors was vibing some kind of high, y'all. I didn't even put on the treadmill. Whew.
Power on. Move.
Did I say jump on your bike and start your treadmill? Let's see. Oh. Yeah, y'all. If y'all coming up on the 3rd year with me, y'all know I be camera adjusting, especially when I'm running late. Especially cause I'm 66. Oh, okay, let me take off my warm-up jacket. When I wear it roller skating, I start off a little cool, but by the time I finish, I'm hot as a tamale. Or do you have to say a hot tamale because tamales are generally hot? Okay, y'all keep walking. Sorry, y'all. My bad, homies. Y'all remember Homie Don't Play That? Homie Don't Play That. Oh, the Waynans. But the worst of the comedians to me was Martin. I was doing an introduction to theater program. And that's another long story. When I was in the playwright world. But I didn't know the playwright and that world was mostly for the cousins. It's for the dark cousins now because they need the money. But when they don't need the money, them tickets come so high they don't need you. I hear people say that about that Queen Bee lady. They say her tickets so sky high. They're not for you. They're for wealthy people. And for like on YouTube, when they put on live concerts of them, I can't listen to it. I don't know how it is to see only Stevie Wonder. Okay, nope. Luther Vandross and Anita Baker. 3. That's what I've seen in my lifetime of people singing live, like famous people. So when I hear your live stuff, I'm like, ugh. Because sometimes live concerts, when you listen to them again, you have to be there. Sometimes. Thanks for coming on the walk. We're going to talk about Meghan Markle and her Prince Harry. Y'all look at Meghan Markle. Look at Meghan Markle. Look Look at those two kids they have together. See, we weren't around when our ancestors were sitting here until all these penal colonies. We weren't around. We're descendants of. But, as I told y'all, I said to the ancestors, looky here, I'm close to the exit. Help me put some of these pieces together. Because these 66 years have been cray. Cray. I'm close to the exit. Help me put it together. So I often wondered, how could such a huge amount, as they call them Africans, as they teach here, that they scooped them up from Africa, but they didn't. They scooped them up from Europe. We listen to these dumb European cousins scream, go back to Africa, and of course, even our scholars, don't get in debt behind this bullshit, y'all. Walk into a library, teach yourself. Start your own business. Said something about us coming from Africa. Yes, out of Africa into Europe. Out of Europe on penal colonies. But they won't teach you about those wars. And if you hear about those wars in Europe, they're whitewashed. They're unicorned. They're unicorned. Oh, you know what? They're unicorn. So I said, who and what could move such a large volume of Africans like that? It would have to take countries. You know, like Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, back off and on, Antigua and others, I can't remember that right now in 66. But when I was doing the research for African American Theme Park, and I was searching us down where we was all over the place, and then I had to pick the countries because I couldn't put all of them into the theme park. So, but then the ones I discarded, I forgot about. Until I asked the ancestors to help me put it all together. Before I did. DNR, y'all. So, I said because it's going against everything Carter Woodson, he's always with me. So is a man taught, so shall he think. That came from our scholars. Our scholars didn't do the work. They went to classes. They bought these German Ethiopian folks' books, and you know they made up a whole name for a race instead of saying German Ethiopian. Because I would say German African. Whoa! Anyway, I said, how can they move it? And what could our ancestors have done to wind up here? So, first I started getting vibes. Like, I was also really into European history, specifically British history. I followed their story of the people who came from 2 liters that suckled from wolves. I'm going to leave it like that. I can also say Little Red Riding Hood. And wolf. they three little pigs. Because they all made up stories. So, I followed it, and I looked at all the pictures. The art. Remember I was at the library. Sometime, yeah, I was supposed to be shelving. When a good table book came through, sister had to go through it. But I did my job. And if I couldn't, if it detained me too much, I lugged that big son of a bitch home and went through it. And there was times I would say, that looked like, almost like my sister. My older sister is mixed race. My mother was as darker than Tootsie Roll. And her father was a European African. I don't know, Scottish African, Irish African, I don't know. But one of those European African groups. So, we don't know. We couldn't see the people who brought our ancestors to this country. They just fed us the unicorn story. And you hear me call them cousins? The ancestors survived me, and they right. I accept it. White is a unicorn. So I said, can I say unicorn in place of white? They said we prefer cousins. I said, okay, but if I slip, can I say unicorn? Anyway, these are all vibes. Don't get the ambulances and stuff like that, because I know y'all under the brainwash. So, I said, no. But I remember, because we never saw who really brought our ancestors here. Of course they wouldn't come over here in all their royalty. They were prisoners of war. And who were they war with? Family. That's why all this cult bullshit about family is just what it is, honey. Cult bullshit. Cousins put us all over on penal colonies. That's what family do you. Do yourself and you can protect everybody around you. Whew. I tell you. Whew. Whew. Okay. So, it's up to my hand. So, I wondered why the British, the English, have so much going on in Africa. Because I was brainwashed that they were unicorns when they were really our cousins. They just went back home. They know it's home. They put us on this penal colony, and after the first 2 or 3 generations died out, them ignorant cousins was teaching us that we came from some African country. Now, I'm not saying that they didn't, because when the cousins went over in Africa, they fought with the Africans. Not that the Africans said, oh, cousin. No. They was like, take your mixed race ass on out of here. And that's what disturbed them. You know, because Africans call them watered down, all kind of stuff like that. So, that disturbs them. So, they went in there, and rearrange all the history, especially in Ethiopia. Them German Ethiopians went in there and took them Arab Africans, burned down shit, and destroyed shit. It's a lot, y'all. DNR, honey. Whew. I'm good. The story ends when my matter and energy separate. So, I said, okay, who can move a large group of Africans? Cousins. European cousins. They can do it. And they did. And those they couldn't ship out, I say especially to the Russians and African countries, I bid you beware. They know their cousins too, but they the hating kind of cousins. They know they got African genes in them, and they the hating kind of cousins. So instead of saying, hey, the world is the same, they hating cousins. They think by destroying the African, they can destroy the gene within them. Anywho. So, I was wondering why Princess Di ran to Africa. Why, when stuff got too hot, she ran to African countries. She didn't care if they had AIDS, porosity, or whatever that thing is in that made-up book, that disease, leprosy. She didn't care. You know why? She knew her shelter was there. Why? Because she's a European African. Let's get some water, y'all. If I stop walking down, y'all so whitewash. Oh, Hitler in Germany said the perfect race is the white with the unicorn. And everybody blonding up their hair, trying to be unicorns. If I stop walking, y'all. Taking the dark-skinned cousins and putting them in horrible places, doing horrible things. Hey, let's go back to enslavement. Imprisonment first, and then enslavement. Our African ancestors were speaking English. They were speaking Spanish. They were speaking French. They wasn't speaking no tribal language. They had been come out of Africa. You see, like the Aborigines of Australia, so long gone out of Africa, they ain't even connect back. It was that European African cousins. It was a map already. So I was wondering why. Now I know why she ran. She knew where her protection was coming from, and I know why she went to Jody. Not to be disrespectful, I just can't remember his last name. Lafayette. I'm probably saying it wrong. That's why she ran to it. And guess what? The cousins didn't come mess with her. As long as she was in Africa. It's when she came on this penal colony. The African Americans were not strong enough. So that cousin, she went to the French cousins. Lord have mercy. Hi, you see, she ain't here no more, right? Honey, don't no cousin, no, don't no European cousin. Just like the Africans, like them French African cousins, European African cousins. Anyway, let's get back to Meghan Markle. So I was wondering why the Queen was really kind of outdone with the Meghan Markle. And I kept saying to myself, I could hardly see any African in that child. But I could. But I said, but she looked like a lot of other unicorns out there. Okay, let me stop. A lot of other European cousins. And that's why the Queen didn't want her back in. They couldn't believe. Because you see, in their head, they had gotten rid of the African Jew. They had persecuted it, they killed it, and they sent it around the globe. And looky here. Though there ain't a lot of African, it's a memory if you put Meghan Markle's complexion up against all the Queen's horses and the Queen and all the King's horses and the King. Real light-skinned black people, to bring it down to today's terminology. Meghan Markle's. That's who you fought with, who chained up their ancestors and shipped them to places they already had maps for and knew there were occupants there because they had the Africans' maps. And the Africans had already charted all of this. Do you see how low life, low down, no good these European African cousins are? And on this penal colony, horrible. Put out Alex Haley fiction book. I used to ask, why would the European cousins on this penal colony, unlike the dark-skinned African, if they caught them with a piece of paper with words on it? Why would it be death? And then I thought to myself, how could these enslaved people find that little piece of paper and figure out the damn words? You said they were dumb people that didn't know anything can cover it. What? We're going to talk about Marcus Garvey next week, but I just want to bring it up to you. Let me throw this at you. Okay, let me put this out there. I feel the Jamaicans are the ruling class of the Brits. And I'll tell you all about that when we talk next week about Marcus Garvey. But Marcus Garvey, he came to this penal colony and told all African Americans, or said black folks, said that we came from Africa. Yeah, originally. But here, our ancestors strictly came from Europe. But they're not going to tell you what kind of wars that is. They're going to tell you about the Carthagins and the Thingagens of those people who suckle from wolves. But the real wars are the ones that put our ancestors on this penal colony. But they ain't going to talk about that. They're going to make them a whole race of people. Roman numerals, African numerals. You ass white cousins. How dare you? See, so Meghan Markle, that's why the Queen lost her shit and wanted her out. Because if she had stood by those old pictures, her and her mama would have looked like all those kings and queens. Especially the ones with the white powder. They had the most African in them to hide. So that's why the Queen lost her shit. And she was upset. But the African blood gonna come back. Stop faking, y'all. You're disgusting. Just lie so much. And I was fine with the ancestors. I said, look what y'all did. Y'all unleashed these European Africans on the world. They done went around fucking up everybody, talking about in the name of justice and security. Fucking up everybody. Just so they can say, we ain't got no black in us. The Hawaiians. But next week we're going to talk about Obama. Occupied Hawaiian land. Going around just taking land. Lying and taking land. Lying and taking land. So, here's the ironic part about it. I won't be here. I won't be here. But Harry and Meghan's little kids, they're going to be presidents. Because the dark-skinned Africa, ever so obedient to the folks to the cousins that imprisoned them on this penal colony, will take that little dot of African blood that they all have, but Meghan is closer. She came from Jamaica. The fact that she hit royalty is no surprise if you know the history. The fact that she got back into Buckingham is not a surprise if you know the history. Blood comes home. So, y'all gonna be bamboozled again. Until you just stop being fed all these fake tales by these European Africans. Horrible, 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 horrible people. Well, we got all the money. That's why the unicorn. No, cousin. No, cousin. You European African cousins. Low down, low life, ignorant African European cousins. European African cousins. No, you ain't. You just made sure to stop everything that looks like you and where your roots come from, you've destroyed and attacked. All in the name of saying, I got an ancestor. I'm white. You see, I have no African in me. Because if I had African in me, would I be hanging them right now? And they said, oh no, ain't no African in them. They go around hanging Africans. I'm not African. There's no African in me, says the European African cousin. Because you see, we put all the dark-skinned Africans over there. We live over here. So we aren't African. We're the unicorn. White people. No, you're not. You're European cousins. And you're going to get your what for. So y'all listen to all these cults talking about, oh, it's family. Oh, it's family. Oh, that's my blood. If you're not sticking together for either survival or growth, get apart. Get out of that cult family shit. No. As they said, well, everybody's kinfolk, but ain't nobody, not all of us are happier how we're connected through the African connection. Remember, these European cousins on this penal colony used to say if they walked near an African, their skin will turn brown. Instead of saying, there's African in me, and that's why my skin is brown or turning brown. Do you see the difference? You remember those big bodices, you know, like during the, what they call it, the Tudor time, and they had those big, hiding them big asses. Had the nerve to take the Hottentrot and touring it all over the place, talking about how African women's asses are. Look at some of those pictures. Some of them big crowds is held up by rings, and some of it is held up by them big asses. European African asses. Y'all. Whoo! Jane, what is this? Jesse used to say, Jane, stop this crazy thing. DNR, y'all. Killing, I even had a thought, I had a vibe. I said, you know what? I know them Russian people. I thought about the Ukrainian people. You remember when the war first started and there was Africans in Ukraine? I mean, like African. Because remember the mixed races. I'm not going through that again. Anyway, they was throwing them off the plane. They didn't want to get on the plane. I said to myself, first I was like, man, they kicked them off the plane. But they had to say, we're not African. We're not African, Russia. Don't shoot us. We're not. We're not European Africans. Don't do us like the German government did to the German Ethiopian people. What if that's the case? Everybody in Ukraine that's blonde, they say, oh, it makes me feel good. No. Somebody told you a lie. They say European African, if you wear blonde hair, then you're more European. No, you're European Africans. Whew, Jane, stop this crazy thing. Squeeze your gut, tuck in your elbow, neither up nor down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Yeah. Go to those museums. I used to call them warehouses of stolen treasure. Those European Africans, they went in there and took their ancestors' artifacts in history too. That's how you see the African side of them. There's some European cousins, European African cousins, that gotta have African art in their house. They have to connect it, but though they run around fudging, shooting us out the car, throwing us out the window, stomping old black people, stomping us, denying us jobs, houses. You want to connect with Africa? Sure, I came through Europe to here, but still, so did you. Oh, what arm did I do? Squeeze your gut. Tuck in your elbow. Neither up nor down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Harry knew he has African in him, and he's, remember, they do a different study than we do. They have the royals. So they know how the Africans came in to go through, and they know it's important that the darker skinned Africans and the darker skinned on the continent don't find out. And I think some of them do, because blood no blood. But that's the Meghan Markle skin complexion, the Adam Clayton Powell skin complexion. I looked at Walt Disney and I know I saw African in him. I went, oh, because people just said to me, oh, everybody ain't African. Now I can say clearly, yes, they are. When I was young, I was like, but they do. They look after, they got African features. We became friends right away, blood no blood. Jane, stop this crazy thing. DNR. Hey y'all, thanks for coming on the walk. So that's the Meghan Markle story. And I know I'll be gone, but I know how y'all is. And if you don't wake up, the next thing you know, on this penal colony, the executive wardens will be the Meghan Markle and the Prince Harry kids. Until you say, pure. Ha! They don't like that. They don't like that. They don't like that. They say, oh, nobody's pure. No one is. But we're dark. We know. You're light. You're passing and you're hiding and you're horrible. Like, comment, share. Tell an uncle, tell an auntie, tell a cousin, tell a friend. Whew. These European African cousins, there's a lot. They probably sitting down somewhere trying to find out how to starve old people. How to get more health insurance so we can get cut up on everything else. Whoo, DNR, y'all, DNR. Thanks for coming on the walk. Like, comment, share. Tell uncle, tell auntie, tell a cousin, tell a friend. Subscribe. See you tomorrow.